recording. All right. Hello and welcome to the Scottyverse interviews. Today, I don't even want to call him a friend because he's kind of a relative. He is my cousin-in-law, Taylor, and we're going to kind of talk about his adventure in the United States Air Force, what got him there, what removed him from it, and where he is today because of it. So a little background, Taylor joined the Air Force. He was active duty for 3 years, and he ended up retiring as a senior airman. Correct, Taylor?
Correct.
All right. So that's literally, you guys know about as much as I do at this point. He's told me before, but I have forgotten because that's what I do. First things first, Taylor, man, thank you for being on the podcast. Super glad to have you here. Go ahead and say hello to the people.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited. I'm glad to just talk about my Air Force past and yeah.
So if you guys are only listening, you can't see it. Taylor actually has a better podcast setup than I do. He's got a fancy mic, nice headphones. His camera is 30 times better than mine at the moment. So he looks like he's been doing this for a while. Have you ever done a podcast?
I have not. As we get into it, you'll learn I'm pretty nerdy, so this stuff isn't too much of a surprise, but yeah.
So since you're nerdy, what was your job in the Air Force?
It was actually perfect. I was a client systems technician.
What the hell is a client system?
That is pretty much base level IT. You know, my printer doesn't work. My internet isn't working. My email isn't working. You know, stuff you grunts kind of talk about stuff.
So the S6 nerd that I call and yell at daily.
Exactly. That was me, for sure.
All right. And then, so got it. You're a nerd doing internet stuff.
Yep.
But, I mean, you're drinking beer. Since you're a nerd, I assume you're a hipster. What type of beer are you drinking right now?
It's actually not too hipster, to be honest. It's just a local brewery here in Atlanta, Sweetwater, 420.
Okay.
Pale ale.
And you're drinking straight from the can like a man.
I am, indeed. Yeah. I don't have a frosted mug, so.
I'm very proud of you. Because of this interview, I broke away from my Coors Light. I am drinking a milk stout, left-hand brewing company. And I put it in a big old fancy mug.
Ooh. Yeah, I like that. I like it.
I did all of this for you, and I'm going to hate every sip of this beer. You're welcome.
Yeah, is that a stout or a porter, or what is that exactly?
It's a stout. It's a milk stout.
Okay.
Let's see. Roasted malt and coffee notes build the foundation of this creamy sweet stout, 6% alcohol by volume.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a chilled coffee, but I don't drink that because I'm a man and I drink my coffee black and piping hot.
True.
Yeah.
True. But it's alcoholic, so it helps, you know.
You're not wrong. I need every bit I can get to get through all of these. So, you haven't been in my life very long, maybe 6 years at this point. You're married to my cousin.
Yes.
And I know you were medically retired, but before we get to that, what is it that drove you to the Air Force? Did you know you wanted to go there, or was it flip a coin?
If you had told me in high school or even senior year of high school that I would be joining the military, I would have called you crazy, to be honest.
Okay.
I tried college. I didn't like it. I wasn't very good at it. I have a hard time with school, to be honest. So, you know, I did a year of college, dropped out, did just the normal cook kind of jobs until about 21. I realized I need to start doing something with my life, you know, kind of one of those moments.
Yeah.
And my dad would never tell me exactly what to do, and he never even brought up the military with me. That I remember. But then I came to him and said, Dad, I'm thinking about joining the military, specifically the Air Force, because we have a family history of it. And I've heard the best things from even people that have been in before, that the Air Force is just, if they could do it again, even.
Well, let me stop you right there. So
go ahead.
We have listeners that are Army, Marines, and Navy.
Uh-oh.
You guys just heard it. The Air Force is the best. Go kick rocks, eat some crayons, leave a comment. I'll get after you. All right, continue.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So we have a family history of it, you know, and like I said, I've heard from people that were even in that, you know, I love my branch, but if I could do it again, I would have gone Air Force.
Okay.
And also the fact that they could train me in something specifically that I wanted to do. It wasn't, I didn't have to just sign an open contract and I could be, and then because, I'm trying to get out of being a chef, a cook, just doing a line cook job. And then I could have been services, or I could have, they could have just assigned me to that. And that's just what it was. So, I was able to wait and get the job I wanted. So that was also a big plus as well.
Okay. So for you guys who are listening and don't really know, he's talking about coming in just no contract, open general. If you come in open general, there's a strong chance you're going to be a line cook at a DFAC, or you're going to be what we call security forces, checking IDs at a gate. So Taylor was fortunate enough to be smart enough, unlike a lot of us, to score high enough on his ASVAB to get. Did you have the pick of the litter? Did your recruiter try to screw with you, or how did you see that?
So I got a 90 every time I took it, or an 89, 90 or 89.
Wow.
I did,
better than me.
But every single time I did make it a point to speak to every single recruiter in the office, which the recruiting zone that I went to had every single branch other than Coast Guard. I just wanted to hear their sales pitch. And I knew in my heart I was pretty much going to go Air Force, but I still wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I pretty much had the pick of pretty much anything I wanted, and I didn't even know exactly what job I wanted. I didn't research it well enough to know I want client systems or I want infrastructure, or I just said I want something in cyber. I didn't even know really what that was. I just said, if it's in cyber, I'm up and let's go.
Okay. So you took your test, your recruiter said, yep, you can have client systems. Did you have a long wait period, short wait period? You were 21 when you came in, you said?
I was actually 22. I had to wait for 9 months. And actually the job I signed on my contract was infrastructure. And that's an interesting story as well. But
okay, we can go through all of that. I mean, so when did infrastructure change to client system? After basic or during?
During.
Okay, so you show up to basic training 22 years old.
Yes.
I assume you're kind of towards the top of your age group from my own personal experiences.
Yeah, for sure. I was in the top at least 10 out of the 45 guys or so that were in my flight. But there was some guys that were there from, National Guard that were 35 that I was really surprised to see. So
Jesus.
Yeah.
Were they still smoking a pack of Pall Malls a day, or?
I mean, yeah, there was like a 30, and the oldest was 35. And I think, and he seemed crusty to us, but, and then, pretty much, yeah, I was one of the older. Yeah. There might've been a 28-year-old in there as well, but.
And so you had a big wide range of people. I'm not going to get on the in my time speech, but do you think you being 22, you've been to a little bit of college, you've been a cook, you've kind of experienced a little bit of life. Do you think that gave you a leg up for the indoctrination into the Air Force? Or do you think it kind of held you back?
I'll be honest. I thought that it would, and it probably did give me somewhat of a leg up. I've seen somewhat of the real world and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think I just kind of went into it with such a blank slate. Just I'm head first into this thing that I was kind of full blown in it. Like I honestly, because they cause chaos and confusion. That's the main game. Yeah. I was just as in it as the 18-year-old, to be honest. I was kind of like,
So you drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
A little bit. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was in it.
Did you get a certain job while you're in basic? Were you like a chow queen? What did you do?
I honestly can't remember what my initial job was, but our laundry crew was so terrible that they asked for volunteers, and I was like, well, okay. So I signed up because I was tired of my laundry being like mildew and soured,
Yeah. I remember that.
So I signed up for that, carrying the big, and it's not like the new ones now where they have the washer and dryers in the dorms. We had to carry it in the big, sacks. And
oh no, heaven forbid.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I had to, which that'll come into play later so that's just an interesting little tidbit for what's coming up later. But yeah, I had to put that big heavy sack on my back and carry it down to the laundry room and, do all that. So,
I mean, I usually keep my big heavy sack in front of me, but
yeah, I try to.
I can't throw it all the way over the shoulder yet. I'm not that old.
I just try not to sit, you know what I mean? Sit on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the guidon bearer. That was my main job.
Oh,
Oh yeah, and I was a nerd. I went to RTC in high school, so I showed up and like they made me an element leader. He fired me in the first week. I was like, I'd like to do the guidon, and he called me Scooby, which is a whole other story. But he's like, Scooby, you think you can handle my stick? I was like, that's what she said. But I was like,
right.
yeah. I was like, yes, Sergeant, I think I can. So he's like, all right, I'll give you a chance. And man, I instantly marched better. I was all over that guidon. So everybody be doing their nightly chores, and I'd go hang out on the drill pad and do nothing.
Right.
But I'd come back, I'd have the shower to myself. I'd go to bed late. It was cloud nine for me. I
That's
played
awesome.
that system. So,
Oh yeah, because you guys would have to be down there on the pad practicing and
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah, right. Oh my god, yeah.
Right.
I practiced so hard for that job. But okay, so you came in, you had one job in mind. Apparently, there's mildewy laundry, and that changed everything you thought about what you wanted to do in the Air Force.
Kind of. So when when you get in and they talk about integrity first,
Mm-hmm.
service before self, excellence in all we do.
Wow, you know more than most kids nowadays. Let me throw that out there. That's when did you go through?
2013.
All right, so 2013. I'm still dealing with kids that are going through it right now. I will stop kids and say, "What's our first core value?" And they will look at me like a fucking idiot.
Wow.
I had an A1C call me bro yesterday.
Oh, that's
Oh
fun.
yeah, that was a good time. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, but anyways, all right, continue.
And like we kind of stated, I was in head first. They were going to change my life. That's why I was in. So I drank the Kool-Aid a little bit, as you said. And my recruiter, well, anyway, about your, I don't know what it is, third, fourth week, maybe even before that, second, third week, you go in. If you have, they talk about your job or when you'll find out your job if you did open general. And then if you already have your job locked in and it requires a TS, you have to talk to I guess it's basically an in-service recruiter.
Yes.
And so I was speaking to him and he said, hey, is everything on this correct? Because if it's not, we will find out and you will get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
And with integrity first, I said, no, sir, it is not. And he said, so what I have in front of me is not correct. And I said, no, sir. And this is true. So my recruiter told me, I told them, they asked, if you ever smoke marijuana. And I said, yes. And they said, how many times? And I said, honestly, probably too many to count. And, which is not good. And so she said, okay, well, how about we say instead, you can say between the months of February and April of pick a year. And we'll just go with that. That'll be your story. That's it. And I said, okay. She said, otherwise you're not getting in. So I said, okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what I told the recruiter. And he said, okay, I appreciate your honesty. But unfortunately you have lost your job.
Yeah.
And it was pretty devastating, especially because I probably cried a little bit. I was pretty upset because that was the whole reason I joined. I mean, not the only reason really, but it was a big reason to get trained in the career field that I wanted. So at that point, all I could see was services or security forces, which is fine, but that's not what I wanted to do. That's not why I joined the Air Force,
Yes.
And, but he said, I appreciate your honesty and I'm going to do my best when you come back here to get you the job that you want. And I said, okay. And I believed him and all this and whatever. And so skip ahead to 7th week, I think is when everybody started 6.5, 7th week. Everyone started finding out their jobs, their open general jobs, their open electrical jobs or whatever. Well, I get called down and it's me and about 16, 15 EOD guys, mostly EOD guys from what I remember.
Ugh.
And apparently they were there for the same reason I was. They failed their TS clearance. Mm-hmm. So the same guy came marching in the room and handed us a pamphlet. And it had about 40 jobs listed on it. And he said, here's a list of jobs. I want you to number them 1 through 5, 10. I don't care, whatever you think. But I'll be honest with you. There's about 2 jobs I'm giving out today. One is security forces. And the other is, he either did say services or he said something else that was not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was stuff on there. Like I didn't see the job. And before this, I heard a guy, when they had all find out their jobs before me, they had said, this one kid said, oh, I got an IT job. It's called client systems. I had never heard of it, but I got client systems. He said, apparently it's an IT job. So anyway, I kept that in mind. And so, and then I go down there and I don't see client, I'm looking for the list. I don't see client systems on the list. And I see photography. And I'm like, oh, I guess. And typical, whatever. I was like, okay, photography, number one. I didn't put anything else down. I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess that'd be cool to fly in planes, take pictures for the Air Force and stuff. That'd be cool.
That's not what they do, but it's
right. That's what I pictured. You know what I mean? I'm airman basic, slick sleeve. So what do I know? And but I remember him saying, "I'll remember you. I will try to get you the job that you want." Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm in there. I'm kind of getting mad because it's been 5-10 minutes. And I'm like, man, he forgot about me. He didn't care. He just said that. Like, he didn't care. 15 minutes goes by. He comes in the door and goes, McIntyre, and just walks out. And I just get up real quick and I follow behind him and go into his office. And he tells me to sit down. And he said, I remember you telling the truth and I appreciate that. So I'm going to let you choose. What job do you want? And I said, client systems. And he said, is that on my list? And I said, no, sir, it's not. And he goes, okay, hold on 1 second. I'll be back.
Do you remember what rank this guy was? I mean,
Tech Sergeant. His name was Tech Sergeant Scott, which
wow.
I remember.
Good dude.
I remember his name. I really always meant to send him an email, and I never did. So I'm kind of bad on my part. But
I'll look him up.
And he came back. He's like, I'm going to go talk to my boss. He came back after about 5 minutes, and he said, I got you the job you want. I appreciate you telling the truth. And yeah, it was a good day.
So you get the job you want, client services. Well, you think you want it because it's not your initial dream job. So you graduate basic training, you go through the rigmarole, and you go to your AFPC school, tech school.
Right.
So you show up, and was there okay, I can roll with this, or was it like, shit, I still fucked up a little bit?
No, not at all. I was so proud. Honestly, I was just like so proud to be there, to know that my grandfather had been there. He went to Keesler because that's where the technical school was. Like He was an air traffic controller back in the late 40s, early 50s.
God, I mean, that's a hard job nowadays. Back then, I assume they were drinking bourbon and smoking cigarettes. Put it down. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, with paper graphs and stuff. I don't even know. So yeah, I was super proud to be there for sure.
Okay. So
I did have to. Yeah,
go ahead. No, you.
So I did have to wait before I started classes because of my delayed orders. I basically had delayed orders because I had lost my job and then got a new one. Mm-hmm. So everyone else, when I got there with my flight, they started school right away. I had to wait about 4 weeks, I believe. So I was on this weird interim place, in limbo kind of. And, so basically I got assigned a new building to clean every single day. They'd say, oh, you're in the Levito or you're in the, So.
Yeah, you're doing weeds and seeds duty, but you weren't a dirtbag. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So you get in and you're going through your training and you're saying, I mean, client systems. To me, that sounds like you're curing cancer for computers. Funny I mentioned cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is, I'm gonna get you going. I'm gonna step away to get a new beer.
Okay.
What is client systems in a nutshell? How long is the tech school? And did you really did you know it a lot before you started, or was it all kind of new stuff and easy for you to get?
So client systems is about a 8.5 to probably, I can't remember if it's 8 to 10 weeks of technical training. And I had what I thought was a pretty good grasp on computers, and I thought I came in with a pretty good knowledge already. But really, what I learned was that my grasp was mostly on just video games on computers, not necessarily the technical side of computers. But I did know more than some kids in there for sure that had no idea. And we actually had a lot of prior service in there as well that was transferred from security forces and from Loadmaster and stuff like that. So
God, those security forces guys just can't get out quick enough, can they?
Yeah, they were cross training, so they were pretty happy. But But yeah, I thought I had a pretty good grasp, but actually I did learn a lot. I learned a lot, actually. The training was actually really good. The instructors were awesome. So pretty
Okay.
inspirational, actually. A lot of them were.
So when you went from, so I can only go off my own experiences because honestly, after 16 years, I don't know much about other career fields, tech schools. So you go from basic training, which is the breakdown, build them up, scream at them all the time. You get to your tech school, and is it kind of like a, what's up, bro? You made it. Let's learn stuff, or is it still very structured, very shut up? You talk when I talk to you.
I would actually say it's a good mix of the two.
Okay.
It was loose when they could be, and then strict when they had to be. You know, as long as no one was breaking the rules and being disrespectful and being nutty, everything was cool. It was like honestly like a college campus when things were good. You know, if
Okay.
everyone's following the rules, nobody's acting out of line, everyone's being good. It's you can go up to your MTL, and I mean you can't. It wasn't operational side where you could just say, hey, bud, but
Yeah.
it was pretty close.
Okay. I got it. So you get done with your tech school. You've learned stuff you didn't think you were learned. You think you're a little bit ahead of the curve. You go to your first base, which was Whiteman, Missouri.
That is it.
So fill me in because I mean, this is kind of where I pick up on your life. I learned about my cousin marrying an Air Force guy, moving to Whiteman. When the hell did this happen?
Yeah,
Like,
so
are we way
I
back before basic training, or is this something I'm? Where are we at?
not we met not long before basic training. So we actually had our first date January 1st of 2013.
Okay.
Dated until I left for basic June 3rd
Okay.
of 2013. And then she came to my Lackland basic graduation and I proposed.
At the
And
graduation?
not at the graduation, but like
Oh,
in private, like far away from we were actually, it was pretty lame, but we were in a hotel room, typical airman shit. But
no, I don't know this. Wait. First of all, back up. Were her mom and dad there?
no, it was actually, she came with my mom and dad.
Did you ask her mom and dad if you could marry her? It's safe
I
though,
did
right?
not. I did not. I did
You're a
not.
piece of garbage.
I know. I know.
Goodness,
I know.
what is wrong? Oh man, have you met your father-in-law? That
I
man
had.
deserves. Okay.
I know. I know. I know.
Oh,
I
oh
know. Well,
God.
looking back,
So,
obviously
for
knowing.
those of you who are listening, Taylor is now dead to me. Uh, this podcast is over. I'm sorry you listened to the last 20 minutes. Let's move on with life.
All
No,
right, we'll
okay.
cut her short. All right.
Yeah. No, so okay. So she came with your parents. So she clearly liked you. You got a hotel room with my cousin before you were married. You were reading the Bible and sharing life stories together. That's what young people do.
Right.
So, and at one point you're like, "Hey, Mel, that's not a real name because she's never been on the episode. I can't say her name, so it's Mel. We'll call her Mel."
Right.
You're like, "Hey, Mel, I really think you're swell, and I would really appreciate if you become, my wife. I've asked your mom, I've asked your dad. They're both okay with this." And clearly she said yes.
She did. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go
Okay.
with that story. Yep.
Yeah. That's how it happened. Um, okay, so you guys got engaged just after basic and were engaged through tech school.
Through tech school, and then she came to visit. Yeah, she came to visit once or twice before with her mother. They drove down to see me in
Oh,
Biloxi, and
okay.
then we set a date for October 25th, 2013, and we got married right there in Biloxi. And then I went to AFPC and got her added to my orders, and
Okay.
by the end of December or the 1st of January, we were married. We had met January 1st. By January 1st the next year, we were married and living in Missouri.
I'm not knocking you. Me and my wife are very similar circumstances. We were married very quickly, so I don't knock that. I mean, we're a little bit older, a little bit more cultured, more traveled, but it's neither here
Yeah.
nor there.
Uh-huh.
I think I was 25 when I met my wife, and she said, "If you want to marry me, stop doing what you're doing." I said, "Yes, ma'am." So,
Right.
uh, but either way, so you marry her, you get your orders to Whiteman, Missouri. I mean, were you excited, or you were like, "What country is this?"
Yeah. So I started to get really excited because everyone was finding out their duty station a couple weeks before me because of my delayed orders, so of course mine was delayed behind theirs.
Yep.
And, my best buddy from tech school, he got Pensacola. And I was like, okay, that's pretty rad. And then another one of my good friends I met there, she got Hill. Is that in Utah?
Hills, Utah. Yep.
And then the other
burp
one.
into the mic, man. Burp into it.
No, I'm not burping into the mic. And so I'm going to have to refresh her in a minute. But, and then another friend got San Antonio. And so finally, actually, what's funny is Mel was down to visit when I found out. And I said, all these guys have found out their stuff like a week or two ago. Yeah. I said, let's just go to the public library or the library on base and let's just see if mine has shown up. And so I'm going to, I forgot what it was, AFPC something,
Yeah.
And the portal or whatever. And
virtual MPF, VMPF.
It's been a minute, but yeah. So I log on there.
I go there
and I'm like,
daily right now. So.
Oh, true. I know you do.
Yeah.
And so I log on there real quick and it said, it doesn't tell you exactly what base, it just tells you your unit. This is your unit number, whatever. So then I had to Google it. It said 509th Comm Squadron. I'm like, oh, what's the 509th? And so I Google and it said Missouri, Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. And I'm like, that's one of the,
go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
That's one of those states that I forget even exist. And I was like, and we both, me and Mel both looked at each other like, where in the hell is Missouri? Or what is even in Missouri,
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, man, I'm sorry. You said 509th, Missouri, and I literally just have one of my best friends who's a comm tech sergeant, PCS. So I just asked her if she went to the 509th. So that's what I was doing. Yeah.
Okay.
If you need a refresh real quick, I will do some filler.
Yeah.
All right, go get your beer.
It'd be like 30 seconds, so.
Oh, I got this. Ready? And he's off, ladies and gentlemen. Taylor is taking off his headset. He's walking away from the microphone. He's grabbing his can. He's going to throw the can away because he's not a heathen. He's wearing shorts with sandals. Oh, my God, the door's closed. He's gone. He's running down the hallway. He's trying to figure out. He's getting Mel out of the way. He's pushing her up against the wall. He's looking for a beer. He's probably at the fridge right about now. He's looking at the fridge saying, oh, my gosh, these people are judging me. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? He looks like he's found it. He's found a beer. He's pulling the beer out. He's probably cutting it around. He's coming back down the hallway. Mel's looking at him saying, oh, my gosh, what are you doing? Get out of my way. He's back in the room. He's coming in. He's sitting on the stairs. Oh, my gosh, he's got a beer. I
made it. Close. How'd I do?
You did great. I think I was about 3 to 5 seconds off on my prediction for what you were doing.
Okay. It's okay. I was a little slow out of the chute too. So
I had you still, hot checking Mel while going down the hall on the way back and getting a beer.
Right. Yeah. That's not too far off.
Yeah. So, anywho, where were we? Because I'm completely not here. So do you know the 97th CS? Does that make sense? 97 comm support.
In 1 sec, 97?
Yeah, Whiteman, for sure. That's what you want.
They might be part of the no, Altus. That's what it says. 97th is Altus.
Maybe she did go to Oklahoma.
Where is Altus, honestly?
Altus is Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. So that might be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma, Missouri, they're all flyover states.
Right, that's what I thought, honestly.
Yeah, okay. All right, sorry, everybody. We both kind of got lost. So you've been together for about a year. You got married. You get orders to Missouri. You say, where the hell is that? You figure it out.
Right.
Okay. And Melissa doesn't really drive at this point.
No.
Okay.
So I had
I just want to throw that out there.
Right. And so I had to do the whole, it was my first time dealing with Air Force stuff. And they were like, do you want someone to come to your house and, move you?
Yeah, TMO.
And so I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll just do it myself and you guys can try to reimburse me, I guess. And so I just ordered one of those pods and they dropped it off in her parents' driveway. And Mel just started loading. Her dad just started loading stuff up, her parents the whole time were like, "You don't have to do this if you don't wanna," and but she was down. So, and then by January 1st, we technically got there December. I did the recruiter assistance thing, so I could get 2 extra weeks of
Yeah,
like
nerd.
leave, you know?
Got it. You're a nerd. Okay.
Yep. So I did that, and it worked out perfect because I had to pass my A+ certification in order to leave. That's like your final test. You have to have
Sure.
that to have administrative rights.
You know what I had to do to leave? I had to be breathing.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So I passed that. It's like a lot of stress. Like all like the last 2 weeks you're there is just studying for that test, that certification. And yeah, it was like this. My test was December 1st or something, and if you pass, you basically leave the next day. And so I had already booked my plane ticket, packed my bags. I was like, I gotta pass this test, and I passed. And so because of the whole taking leave, I think I was able to like take leave, and then with recruiting assistance, I got to stay for the whole month of December and be there for Christmas. So that was cool. And then by December 29th, basically January 1st, we were in Missouri.
Okay. And so her parents are saying you don't have to do this. Did they not want her to go with you, or are they just being them?
I think they were just scared like any parent would be, especially like even my parents are like, you guys are going pretty fast. And we're like, yeah, we know, but
Get bent. I mean, yeah.
Right. We're like, yeah, we're doing it anyway. So,
Because I mean, 2013, you guys are at 7 years now.
yes, it'll
Yeah,
be
so
7 years this year.
At what point do you get to tell him to kick rocks, your father-in-law?
Oh, never, honestly. But yeah, you tell him that. I'm not telling him that.
No, I'm not telling him that. No.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so you get to Whiteman, you check in, you're this brand new client systems guy. You got a young wife who's, way further than she's ever been from her family.
Mm-hmm.
And she is introvert to the extreme.
Right.
My opinion. How does that work for you? I mean, was it, you've been through basic, you've been through tech school, you show up, was it kind of like, yo, what up, Taylor? You made it? Or was it get to work airman? We're not worried about your wife type stuff.
As far as like when I got to the base and got to my unit, you mean? Like,
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I remember I hate to be, it's easy, I feel like when you've been in a long time to look back and be like, oh, I never drank the Kool-Aid and I wasn't like Star Spangled Blue awesome, you know what I mean? But
I'll admit I drank the Kool-Aid.
That was me. Like I got to my base and I was like, I cannot wait. Like I was just so excited. And I remember getting there and everyone's like slouching in their chairs and just like wearing their jacket inside, which is against, AFIs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're wearing, they're wearing it inside. And I'm like, what are these guys doing? It's January. No, you take that off as soon as no. And so,
that's right.
I remember thinking it was kind of strange, but it was okay. Everyone there was really nice. They helped us. I mean, we had to move into the Whiteman Inn for the first 2 or 3 weeks we were there until they found us a house on base. And during that time, you got to remember this is like right after Christmas. They're not thinking about work, especially in the comm squadron.
No.
Hell,
we've been in COVID for how long now? My comm squadron's. We've been back at work officially for a month, and I haven't seen a single comm guy yet.
Nah, they won't be for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's how we roll. So kind of makes sense. And but yeah, it was nice. Everyone really helped us like get to know the unit, and everyone in the unit was awesome. Helped us get moved in. If we needed anything, they were there. And yeah.
So we're gonna kind of fast.
Hey, bud, you're kind of breaking up. I think when something about your mic is disconnect, maybe.
It could be the rain coming.
Oh, it could be. Okay.
All right. So is it better if I move closer?
No, I mean you're good. I think you're good regardless. I just didn't know if it was maybe moving.
I think it's the rain coming in and out. God bless, South Georgia. So I want to kind of fast forward a little bit. You get in, and everything was really good at the beginning for you, I know, and you're enjoying it. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. When did you realize something was wrong with you, and you started seeking medical assistance for what would ultimately remove you from the Air Force? How did that all kind of pan out?
So from what I remember, it was August of 2014. I think it was the same year Yeah, that I had gotten there. Later that year, I started to feel some lower back pain when I did PT, or even
Mhm.
just, mostly during like PT. Really, really lower back pain just above the pelvis, basically. So do you want me to go ahead and just go deep, just start going?
Yep. Yeah, this is all you, man. This is your story, and I'm just actually honored to hear it as much as you're
Okay.
willing to share.
So,
Oh, it's a White Claw?
yeah, that's all I had left.
That's the end of the show beer, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's
Okay.
done now.
So we're close to the end, guys. We're wrapping it up. Anyways, so all right, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
All right. So, yeah, I started feeling some back pain, and I remember in August of later that year, got an X-ray, and they thought they saw what they called a bone island. Is all they could say. They were like, it might be a bone island in your pelvis, maybe.
Who is they? Is this like a military doctor or off base?
This is on base. The
Okay.
medical center did an X-ray, and they were like, "Oh, well, there's a weird-looking bone island in your pelvis. That could be it, maybe."
Yeah,
And I'm like,
you got to be very clear because I fucking hate military doctors.
right.
We can go into that another day. But yeah, kind of let
From
us
here
know
on out,
yeah.
yeah, I'll let
All
you
right.
know what was on base, what was off base, what was referred. Okay.
We appreciate it, man.
And then, so I thought that was kind of weird, and I said I'd like to get an MRI. So they referred me to the next town over, to get an MRI. In the lower back, because that's where my pain is. Like basically just MRI'd my pelvis area, and they didn't find anything. And I knew I was I mean, at least I thought I knew I was in pain, And so by this time, it's probably, let's say, January. It's been a few months, and
Yep.
all they've seen is maybe a bone island and an MRI that didn't show anything. And at this point, leadership's I didn't have a profile, I don't think, yet. I might have gotten one by February. I might have had a profile. And then March starts, or actually, this might have been, okay, so let's say March comes around and they start handing out deployments. And I got deployment orders to go to Bagram.
Holy shit.
And I was okay with it. I would have been excited had it not been for what I was pretty sure was back pain.
Yeah.
And, my doctor, she even turned, or my PA, this is on base, my on base PA, she even turned to my wife and said, do you think maybe this is in his head and he just misses home? And,
Oh, really? Okay.
and I was like, and, I started to think it myself. She basically just said what I was already starting to think.
God, man, I agree with you. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but if I don't say thoughts when I have them, I'll lose them because of all the C words I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Pointing to my head, that's concussions. I got injured April 4th last year. Nobody knows what's wrong with me since, and I'm still in pain, but I had to shut up about it so that way I could stay in, get orders, and move on with my career.
Right.
I talked to a specialist who recommended surgery right out the gate. So I probably need hip surgery at 33, but I'm not going to say a damn word. So that way my military career can continue. But my wife calls me a hypochondriac. The doctors call me a hypochondriac. They're so used to seeing people coming in, trying to get out of orders, trying to, not do their job, that's what they jump to. And man, I hurt every day waking up. I will go out and I'll out PT 90% of my squadron, 85% of my group right now because it's my fucking job.
Right.
But it's going to suck. But I won't bitch about it to them. I'll go and see the doc, and the doc who's supposed to help me doesn't accept that. The doc says, oh, you're a hypochondriac. I gave you ibuprofen. I don't know why it didn't fix it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, man. Anyways, so the doctor says, could it be in his head? And you're thinking the same thing. Continue.
Right. But yeah, I know what you mean about that. I mean, they gave you 800 milligrams. What more could you want?
Yeah. That's a cure-all.
Right. So, yeah. So I started to think it was in my head too. And then that's, I think, about the time I got my profile. And I felt real scummy, dirty about that. I mean, pretty damn scummy about it.
Which
you know what I mean?
means you're one of the good ones, because a lot of people ride profiles. But if you feel bad about a profile, it means you're truly doing the core values and living the Air Force lifestyle.
Right, because I signed up to.
Yeah.
I mean, they were going to change my life, and they have and had. You know what I mean? So that's why I signed up. They got me trained in what I wanted to do. I was working with great airmen and senior airmen that were amazing, and I was doing the job I wanted to do, and I got to wear a uniform and do it. You know what I mean? So
chicks dig uniforms. Yeah, I got
right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just great. And then, but I started to feel so guilty that, I mean, I did miss home, but I still felt like I didn't miss it that much that I would throw this away and just fake a back pain just to go home and hang out and get drunk with friends. You know what I mean?
I get you.
So anyway, I get out of the deployment because of the profile, and leadership starts. They don't say anything because up until this point, I've been a pretty stellar airman. But they're a little suspicious, I can tell, and they're kind of giving me side glances, and it's not quite as cordial as it used to be.
Yep.
And I hated that. I hated that a lot. So finally, I said, I just want to find out what's going on. Like, I'm 90% sure. I mean, it hurts to get into the car. It hurts to get out of the car. My back hurts. I swear I was missing PT. I wasn't going to PT because I had a profile, obviously. So finally, the hospital I was seeing in the local town over said, you know what? I'm going to refer you to a spine specialist in Kansas City, which is an hour and a half away. And I was like, okay, whatever it takes, whatever. So I go see him, and he said, you know what? I'm going to refer you, and we're going to get you a full spinal MRI, not the pelvis. We're just going to do a full spinal MRI and just see what we see. We may not find anything, but we're at least going to look. That MRI took Mel was with me in the waiting room. That MRI took 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it took that long because I fell asleep. Honestly, find MRIs pretty relaxing, to be honest. It's pretty nice.
I hate MRI. So they did an MRI on my hip, and I can't deal with them. I feel enclosed. Maybe I'm a little bit of the claustrophobic. Yeah, I can't do it, man.
I felt that way for the first 10, 15 minutes. I was a little nervous because it's so close to your face, you know?
No.
But after a while, that noise too, it makes the magnetic weird noise, kind of sounds like dubstep in my head, like, you know, that. I loved it.
How does that go? Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I loved it, and I fell asleep, and then, but yeah, I'll never forget. I woke up, and I feel bad because I probably shook at least a little bit. I probably tremor in my sleep, but so I woke up. Finally, I was awake for the last 45 minutes or so, and I remember thinking, or maybe even an hour, and I knew I had been in there a while because I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and I was still in there for another hour. It felt like, anyway, and I came out, and I remember I, like, shook the tech's hand, the MRI tech's hand for some reason. I was like, hey, thanks, man. I was like, all right, I'll see you later. And little did he know he had found out what was going on, but then I walk out in the waiting room, and Mel was like, you've been in there for over 3 hours. And I was like, well, that might be good. I don't know. I don't know how long an MRI takes.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like it probably, either way, it felt like good news because I just wanted to know what the heck was going on. You know, I didn't care if it was a brain tumor, as long as I could say, hey, that right there, I can point to something and say, this is why I'm in pain, not leadership saying, oh, you're just getting out of it. They never really said that, but I felt it.
I understand that completely, man.
So we go home. This was on a Friday afternoon. And by this point, it was already, I think my appointment was at 1 or 12:30. And by this point, workday was over at like 4:30. So I just went straight home. And at 5 o'clock or 5:30, I got a phone call from the specialist who ordered the MRI. Same day, and I missed it. And I looked at my phone, and I went and talked to Mel, and I said, I just had a missed call voicemail from my doctor at 5:30 on a Friday.
Which is weird.
And I was like, and he said to call him back as soon as I could. You know, he's after hours at this point.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I told her, I was like, well, at least we know at least we're about to know what the heck is going on. Like, we're about to know. If a doctor calls you after 5:30 on a Friday to say, hey, call me as soon as you can, at least we're going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's when he told me that I had a 4.5-inch tumor, or it was at least 4-inch tumor in my spine. The problem was the pain was coming from my really, really lower back, but the tumor was in the middle of my back, which is why we never found it. I mean, I think there was some incompetence there as well as on the medical side.
No, wait. No. Air Force doctors aren't wrong. 800 milligrams ibuprofen and hydrate. You're good.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Now, we can agree on that. And if you want me to go on up another tyrant, I will go up on another fucking tyrant.
Right.
It's not a tirade.
Tirade.
Yeah, tirade. Thank
Yeah.
you. Here nor there. So the doctor calls you and tells you there's a 4-inch tumor in the middle of your back.
Right.
Fuck, man. I mean, how does that hit you? Because you're what, 23 at this point?
Yes. It was in March of I guess that'd be 14
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
or 15. I might be messing up the years, but it might be
It's
15.
all right. So
But either way.
you're 23, 24, and you hear the word 4-inch tumor in your back.
Right.
Bro, that's got to be fucking Thor's hammer coming down on your soul.
It was weird, but so when he made the phone call on a Friday, and that Monday we had an appointment to go back there so they could show us the MRI.
Yeah.
So that Monday we went to Kansas City and they showed us the MRI. And Mel still talks about it and laughs because it was like the most weirdest, surreal reaction to seeing it, because I just laughed because for one thing, it looks like a hot dog. It's, 4 inches, you know what I mean? So it's like it's like bun length. It's not the foot long hot dog, but it's, it's like
Brother,
bun length.
I've never seen 4 inches in my life. So.
Right. You're telling me. So other than that moment, so, yeah, so they're just showing me this, and all I could do was laugh because I was just, honestly, I felt so, what's the word, like, justified, I guess. I just felt like, finally, I have something I can point to say that's what's causing my pain. I wasn't crazy, like I had thought for a couple months, that even the PA was saying, you might be a little, like, crazy, or you're trying to maybe you're not meaning to. I'm not saying that this is for malicious intent, that you're trying to get out of the Air Force, but maybe you miss home so much that your brain is, like, maybe causing you pain.
You felt justified in everything
you've
been saying.
Yeah, I did. And so anyway, about a week later, I had the surgery, even though I didn't want to. I wanted to kind of shop around a little bit and weigh my options, but the doctor made it clear to Mel, and my mom came to visit because she has a history of cancer. And so she came to visit us in Kansas City and convinced me that you need to do this or else, because I was already losing feeling in my right leg. So they were like, you kind of have to do this or else you might lose too much functionality and it might be too late. So anyway, I did the surgery. It was April 1st when I had my surgery.
Man. And then, so you had the surgery. Man, I don't even know where to go with this. It's so incredible.
Yeah, so the surgery was 13 and a half hours.
Yeah.
My mom and Mel waited. We had a room with like a spare cot and stuff, but because I was in surgery for so long, they actually kicked them out. This is kind of a funny story, but so they ended up kicking them out of the room, and they had to wait in the waiting room. Ended up sleeping because it's late by this point. I mean, I started my surgery at probably 1 PM, and by this point it's after midnight, or even later. And
is that like one doctor doing surgery the whole time, or do they tag out?
As far as I know, it was one main neurosurgeon. He was amazing. Yeah, Dr. Blatt. He was amazing. And
we won't let pilots fly that long.
Right. And I'm sure that another guy was probably in their tag teaming as well. And I mean, when I was like wheeled in there, I mean, there was probably over 25 people in this room for the surgery, with techs and like, they have to have anesthesiologists and all this kind of stuff. But so anyway, they got kicked out of the room. And so my lieutenant found out, because he was calling Mel to find out what was going on, how the surgery was going and all that stuff. And he found out that they got kicked out of the room, and he called the hospital, and I don't know what he said, but anyway, they got the room back because he was pretty mad. So they got the room back. And everyone from the squadron came to visit afterward and came to visit them like intermittently during my surgery because it was so long. And so, that was really, really cool.
So did anybody at any point be like, hey man, you weren't faking it? Or were they all very like surreal?
So right before the surgery, I might have had the surgery on Tuesday because I went back on Monday, and they said the first thing I did when I walked in, my master sergeant said, hey, you need to go across because our building was right across the street from the bomb wing, the main wing, and the wing building. And they said, hey, you need to go across the street and go get a will made. And I was like, oh,
fuck me.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, okay. They were like, you need to go to legal and you need to go get a will made. And I was like, that sounds nice. And so I went across the street and got a will made. And then the next day is, I guess, when I probably had my surgery. But
Jesus.
again, it's a little hazy. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
because Mel always corrects me on that because I always say April 1st.
Yeah.
And she says no, because I always think it's funny for April Fool's Day, but she says no, it's April 2nd. So that makes sense because probably April 1st is when I went in on Monday and
Yeah.
got my will made. So
Well, I mean, wives are great at correcting us about everything.
for
So
sure, right?
yeah, so it's what they're here for.
Yeah,
So if you're listening and you're a woman and you're a wife and you don't think that's what you're here for, go ahead and make a comment. We'll deal with this later. But all right, man. So you had the surgery. You come out. Leadership kind of welcomes you back.
mm-hmm.
I know you went back to work for a short period, correct? Or was that
Yeah.
not?
I think that's yeah. I think I went back. So I went back for maybe a month or a month and a half before I then had to go to radiation.
Okay. And so I know you're saying this is all kind of hazy. So I mean,
Yeah, it's all right. It's a little bit.
was it drugs that were prescribed to you? Was it other things that did that?
Uh, I don't know. So I was taking at the time after my surgery, I was taking Percocet. I was
Okay,
prescribed Percocet on base.
that'll do it. Yeah,
Yeah, true. So I was taking that. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so I think I went back for about a month, if even that, and then not long after that is when I started radiation in Kansas City, and we would have to get a hotel room, and it was radiation Monday through Friday,
And
come
it's
back on the weekends.
super expensive, and the Air Force is paying for it because you're in
Hmm.
active duty.
Right.
So, at what point did the Air Force just kind of go, "Hey, man, we appreciate it, but we're gonna cut you loose"? You know what I mean?
Right. So what's weird is I went to a med board. They call them something specific, obviously an acronym of some kind, but I went to a med board person on Whiteman. They're like permanently stationed there and they're kind of a med board liaison essentially. And they asked me, you do have a choice in this. Do you want to get out or do you want to stay in? Do you want me to fight for you or do you want me to either way, I'm going to fight for you, but do you want me to fight for you to stay in or fight for you to get out?
Okay.
And at that point, I honestly said, I'll probably just go ahead and get out because I didn't see it was such an extensive surgery. And I still have back pain to this day that I did not see myself ever deploying, let alone taking a PT test. So, and the way the military operates is if you can't deploy, like great, doing your job home station is great. And it keeps the mission going. But at the same time, your main duty at the end of the day is to deploy.
So, man, my eyes just kind of welled up a little bit. So, not too long ago, they said deploy or get out was one of the main things for the Air Force objective.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that, you as a young airman, you as a human being, somebody who raised their hand, took that oath, you were able to recognize that while, yes, you could do a job home station, you were not able to give the Air Force everything it asked of you. So you went ahead and made the choice to get out.
Right. Right.
Man, that is as much as signing up to be in the military is selfless, man, it's saying I love this, but I can't do it to the extent that I need to. That is even more selfless in my mind. You know what I mean? I'm fighting it right now. I can still do my job, but I'm in pain. But bro, I'm on the edge. I'm right there. I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hiding and faking the fact that I don't need a surgery so I can PCS and go do my dream job for my last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, my job means I'm not deploying, but man, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. You were at 22, 23. If you would have told me to make a decision between being mature enough to, get out or give the Air Force what it deserves, I don't think I could have done that. And I would have stayed in and I would have been a detriment to the Air Force. And I'm not saying this for clickbait. I'm not saying this to make anybody think, wow. I'm saying this is me to you.
Mm-hmm.
Screw
Right.
everybody else listening, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think but that's something they even told us in in basic and tech school and even operational. I mean, that's the main mission of the Air Force or the military is to deploy and to be able to deploy, to stay deployment ready. Yeah, doing your job at a home station is obviously great, and it keeps the mission going. But, if you don't PT, if you don't stay in shape, that's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and some squadrons don't even require PT, and it's on your own, which is great in theory, but it's self-discipline and being able to do it on your own that to keep yourself deployment ready,
Yeah. But that's just, I mean, it still just blows my mind. I don't think I could ever do that to say, no, I don't think I could ever self-recognize the
Yeah, but
way
you got to
you did.
remember, I had been in for what, 2 years, almost 3 at this point, and
Well, listen, me and you can talk after the show about my life
okay,
at that point.
yeah,
I don't want to go into it now, but we can talk about that later.
okay,
But no, dude, it's incredible to me, and it's humbling, honestly, because I see kids nowadays who've been on profiles for 2+ years,
right,
non-deployable for 2+ years, milking the system.
right,
So, but the fact that you're man enough to stand up and say, nope, I gave it my best shot. Let's call it. Not kind of you, because at the point you didn't really know what was going to come at the end, right? You just said, no, let's call it, correct?
right. Yeah, I just
So,
knew I was going to be med boarded
yeah.
basically at that point. I was signing up for to be med boarded essentially.
And so you didn't really know what was going to come your way. I mean, me at my time frame, I know a lot more about med boards, but you were still kind of ignorant.
No, I had no idea. I
Yeah.
had heard about. Oh, and yeah, the person was a Peblo. I don't know what. I just know it.
Ah.
I just remembered the acronym, but a Peblo basically was the guy I met with. But yeah, so I had heard about people that I went and spoke to the Peblo, and like I knew this girl who was there when I got there, and she had a bad knee.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she got out with a pretty high VA rating, but regardless, I mean, she just had she had a bad knee, and I remember she saying, "Yeah, I'm just gonna get out," and whatever.
So you've heard about VA ratings, but I mean,
that's all I had heard, really.
Yeah, realistically, you knew nothing, but you made the manly choice to say, "I'm done. Let's cut ties. Let's shake hands, and I'll walk away." So,
yep.
Let's fast forward a little bit. You get med boarded. Obviously, you get out of the military.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the VA process. I've spoken with a lot of my personal friends about the VA in different states. How did VA work for you? You don't have to disclose percentages right now, but I'd love to talk to you about it afterwards. Also, I'm going to make a plug, which I shouldn't do right now, but if you're in the state of Georgia, you're a veteran and you need help, Veterans First Light is a phenomenal organization that will help you get everything you need from the VA. It's a nonprofit organization that is strictly here for veterans. Once again, that's Veterans First Light. I will make sure there's a link in the discussion beneath this podcast, this whatever. Hit us up or hit him up, because it's not me, it's a friend of mine, and he will take care of you, because I know a lot of guys get screwed over by the VA. What were your experiences, though? Pros, cons, and different. You don't have to give percentages if you don't want to. How did all that work out for
you? It's worked out pretty good so far. Okay. It was weird. So when I did go back to meet, they said they were going to have a medical board and all that. He goes, okay, well, if you're okay with getting out, then I'm going to send your paperwork and all your medical files to the med board, and then I'll meet back in touch with you when they come to a conclusion. A couple months, I meet back with him, and he said, okay, they're recommending what's called TDRL. Okay. And I had never heard of that before, obviously, and it means Temporary Disabled Retirement List. And it basically means you're in a weird limbo status. I mean, that's just the story of my Air Force career, I guess, a little bit. But
yeah.
So you're in this weird limbo, purgatory type status to where you're not permanently retired, disabled, but obviously you're not like active duty either. So I got a 214, so I am separated, and it does say retired on it, medically retired. And so I said, okay, I mean, and I was okay with the percentage, and I said, okay, that's great. But so like, what happens from here? Because obviously it means like you're out and you're getting some disability, but at the same time, there's still a shoestring that's like we have that's not, you're not done entirely. We haven't severed ties entirely. And so they said, so after about a year and a half, we will monitor your medical state, and we will determine if you will come back to active duty or if you will be permanently retired from the Air Force, just permanently. And so just to speak to the VA in this process real quick. So I had my first checkup basically about a year and a half, close to a year and a quarter after I got out, which is about right. And I was real nervous about it. I was like, oh man, this is going to be really intense. And I show up, I had my appointment sent to me with a VA letter, and I show up to my appointment, and I walk in and they take my heart rate, my temperature, my weight, my temperature, my heart rate. They measured the length of my scar, asked me, they didn't need any medical records. They just asked me they just asked like, hey, so what happened to you? Or, and so they asked me what happened. They measured the length of the scar, and I was out of there in under 7 minutes. And I was like, that's pretty weird.
Yeah.
So I leave from there, don't hear anything. I still get a yearly MRI, just to keep up with the status. Luckily it's pretty slow growing, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But I still get about a yearly MRI checkup to see how much it has grown. And actually I just got a letter last week, and I'm still on TDRL, by the way. And this was I got separated in January, May of 2016 was when I was separated.
A little over 4 years then.
So it's been 4 years, and they said maximum a year and a half. It's now been 4 years. I'm still on TDRL with this weird shoestring. Like, I don't know if this is permanent, if it's not, and I have an appointment coming up at the end of July, so we'll see. But
so, I mean, is there a chance that they're going to try to call you back, or is it?
No, I don't. I honestly don't think there's. I mean, I guess technically, yeah. I think that is also like, I guess that's on the table. Are
there rules that you have to follow while it's on TDRL? I'm not trying to get you to self-incriminate, but I mean, can you go out and smoke pot if you want to, or?
I don't, but yeah, I'm assuming you can, because I have a 214. I'm not in the military. So, I mean, I have a 214, which is that 214 blanket. So
you're telling me that for 4 years, you've been getting some percentage of pay, but they're not willing to say, yes, you're retired, we're done with you, you're good for life. You've been fighting it for 4 years.
Right.
That is wrong. No, man. That is fucking wrong. All right. I'm going to make phone calls as soon as this thing's over.
But yeah, so it's only because it's kind of like a cloud that's just always there. And it's like Thor's hammer, just ready to strike at any time, that the VA could send you a letter saying, hey, either you're coming back, or A, your disability is completely cut, or not, or at least cut severely. You know what I mean? So,
and I assume it's because the military can't say, yes, we did this, or no, we did not do that. I mean,
no. So my disability was service connected.
It was
a service connected disability.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired up and say things I should not say.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah. So because they could not. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, more than likely, whatever. But so, because they could not prove that I did not have it before I went in, they did do the good thing, and they did say that it was a service-connected disability. And obviously, I am super thankful for the Air Force, because otherwise, I told Mel before, if I for some reason did not join the Air Force when I did, that back pain would have shown up at some point, regardless, probably about the same time. And I would not have been able to afford it. I mean, the TRICARE paid for all of it. They paid for the radiation, and they send you the bill. Now, you don't have to pay it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen bills.
But they want to send you the statement just to be like, just so you know, we paid this.
Yeah, so you know, we just spent $100,000 on you.
That's exactly what it was. And it was a bill for over $100,000 just for the surgery alone. And I told Mel, I said, there's no way. I either A, would have just not done it, or we'd be in medical debt up to our eyeballs and never recover. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
I don't want to go too much further into how angry I am about, once I hit stop recording, we will talk more about some stuff. So you're out. you have to find a job. You have your 214. For those of you guys who don't know, a DD 214 is your retirement. So, I, what? Where do you land? How did being in the military help you find the job you're in now? Did it help you? Walk us through that.
Well, luckily I hit I was in long enough that the GI Bill covers school. So I've been in school.
Which you hate doing school.
I do hate it, and I'm really bad at it.
But GI Bill helps you.
But the GI Bill does help, because otherwise I wouldn't do it at all. So,
okay.
Luckily they helped me with school. And yeah, I just got to keep my nose to the grindstone and keep at it, because I'm not good at it naturally, and I really hate it. But I'm doing it. And so right now I'm just an intern. I'm working as an intern right now for an IT company. So
you said IT. Has any of the stuff you learned as client systems kind of helped you in the civilian world, or is it like night and day?
No, it's without it, there's no way. There's no way I could have done it, because when I finished tech school, I told you I passed that A+ certification, and then while I was in, even it might have sometime in there, they changed the DoD requirement to have an admin account, because before, when I was in, it was A+. Then they upgraded it to the next tier up, which is Security Plus.
Oh wow!
So because the DoD mandated it, we all had to take a free course and get our Security Plus certification.
Okay.
So I got that while I was in as well. So no, it's helped a lot.
But so the company saw that, and it kind of helped you get a leg up to become an intern to where you're at now. Right.
Yeah. I'm still in school. So they said, okay, well, we'll make you an intern and, work part-time while you're still in school. So,
So you're milking that tit for all it's worth.
Yeah.
I mean, as well you should. I gave all my schooling away to my kids because I'm not worth a damn for school. Yeah. I'm counting on 20 years plus 100% disability. That's my end game.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, man. I'm gonna.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. For the most part,
it's an incredible story, and me and you have never really sat down and talked about it. We've been around the bush the few times we've hung out.
Yeah. And I'm usually just worried about what you're doing, or asking about what you're doing, just because it's cooler than being not there. So.
Well, I mean that's all perspective.
True. I mean, yeah.
I know people like, man, I've slept in Humvees. I've slept under Humvees. I meet people who've never rode in a Humvee, and that's the coolest fucking thing in the world to them.
Right.
So, but no, man, it's the fact that you're dealing with stuff that I've heard about and I've never had to deal with for myself in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for me to know how things like this happen. And it's like I said, if I can, now that I know what we're going to talk about after this, we're definitely going to talk. I want to help you because I do know from my time that the Air Force can be great, it can be good, or it can be horrible. Right now, in my opinion, it's good with you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And we're going to try to make it great. We're going to try to fix this. So if you could go back and do it all over again, would you do it?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. Yeah, I guess as like a final closing thought, I would say I'm incredibly grateful for what the Air Force did for me. And they paid for all my medical stuff and my schooling now and the experience and stuff like that. And it's also kind of like, unfortunately, it's one of those stories that it's one of those things I have to just look at through and always wonder, what if I hadn't had this, if I could have stayed in, or like I could have made a career out of this. I mean, I've got an uncle that's been in 32 years. He's still a colonel. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm just eternally grateful for the Air Force the way things happened, the way they did. Now, granted, my retirement is different, but as far as what the time that I served, it was awesome. And I loved it.
There you go. You guys heard it first. The Air Force is the best branch. Marines, go be crayons. Army, make do. Navy, well, you guys all know what you do on those ships. Coast Guard, still last in line, even with the inception of Space Force. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, this guy didn't even know about the Coast Guard, but he still knows you guys are behind. Space Force.
Oh yeah.
So there you guys have it. This was Scotty verse interviews with my dear cousin-in-law Taylor. Before I say goodbye, Taylor, do you have any last word?
Yeah. So I know you were speaking out. You wanted to give a shout out to your friend's organization. I honestly feel like I think that's the first time I've probably heard of them. But also, and I don't know if every state has this, but at least there's one close to me, and it's the Georgia. Basically a Georgia Veteran Services group. They're only like 2 miles, honestly, 2.5, 3 miles from my house. And they are so great. It's all on a volunteer basis, but it's run by the state to help as a liaison essentially between service members and the VA. So if you literally if you just took your W-2, your separation form, and your most current letter from the VA, right? They send you a letter and it's intimidating. And, they're like, hey, you have a hearing on this date. You can just take it up there. And I thought the first time I went there, I was like, oh, they're just going to give me information. They're just going to say, hey, go to va.gov, click settings. They're going to hit this drop down, click this link, fill out this form, send it off, whatever. I thought that was what I was going to get. But instead, I handed them this stuff and they were able to go onto because I guess they're part of the state. They were able to go onto the VA site, log into my account, like see my status, what my current retirement status is, and tell me, okay, I've already filed an injunction, or I filed, or whatever. I sent them the latest paperwork. And as soon as you get another letter, just bring it up here and we'll deal with it from there. So you don't have to really, it's pretty hands off, and they help a lot. So
there you go. So Taylor, I appreciate that, man. So if you're a veteran and you're listening to this show, there are resources out there for you guys. Reach out to this show. Reach out to me. Taylor, I'm sure I'm not going to put your information on there, but if you guys need Taylor and you want to talk to him, come through me. We'll get you to Taylor. There's information out there. We are a small group of people, and we're always willing to help each other. So I'm incredibly humbled by this experience. I love talking with you, Taylor. Thank you for this. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording, and me and you can keep talking in a few seconds.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, man. It was a pleasure. All right. Let me find the stop button. There it is. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Scotty Verse Interview.